Mythos like AI model to the public 2 months after private rollout rocked Wall Street. Is this it, Rob?
It's just a promo video they released.
Go for it. Let's watch the promo video. Go ahead. This is Fable 5?
Yep.
That's their promo video? Come on, man. I want to see more than that. Don't tease me with something like this. 2 months after Anthropic rolled out Mythos to a limited number of users, citing concerns about the artificial intelligence model potential to do damage in the wrong hands, the company said it is ready to release an equally powerful model to the public. Anthropic announced Claude Fable 5, a Mythos class model that will be available to enterprise customers and paid subscribers. The company said the broader release is possible because of the new safeguard that block responses in specific high-risk areas.
I would just tell you, I've worked in cybersecurity now, in cybersecurity sales for the last 10 years. I'm actively working with some of the biggest insurance companies, some of the biggest banks, some of the biggest credit card companies. They're all asking about this, right? It's across the board that they're just like, we don't know what to do. Because at the end of the day, like, they've built a world where all of their security controls are in place for the world that existed before. This has been putting together just ridiculous amount of hacks, right? You would set it up, have it go overnight. It would run all the, it would write all the code, and then fundamentally go out and hack it. This is totally unprecedented, at least from the cybersecurity perspective. So I'm interested to hear what they have to say about this,
including cybersecurity and biology. Tom, why is this such
there we go.
a big deal? Fable 5.
So I think what's happening is two things. One is
this is how a ramen brand reached over 1 billion people without using social media.
In my opinion, going to be one of the top two.
They had to put a bunch of guardrails around it because when they released certain things, they did a private release and they did a public release. And in the private release, they talked about safety. They talked about some guardrails they were going to put around it. But they seemed to be chasing Anthropic. People were like, well, you seem to be chasing. And most people that have looked at it, I kept seeing this phrase called step change. What a step change is when you're like, you get like a big software upgrade on your Apple phone. You just went from 26.1 to 26.3. That's a step change. And I heard a lot of people talking about that this was a step change, not like a big product release. And there also is discussion about, oh, does this get us closer to AGI and whatnot? I think it's important for OpenAI to get it right, but it doesn't appear to me that there's been leapfrogging going on. You know, Opus 4.6, GPT 5.5, Opus 4.7, Opus 4.8. Everybody's been jumping each other with that. This, I'm not hearing people saying, oh my gosh, this is the new king. Okay.
I've started using Claude myself personally and using it at work, and it has been phenomenally better than all the other AIs that I've used for, you know, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and all the other ones. So I'm interested to hear what he has to say about that.
Hey, GPT, where's 5.6? Where are you going? Or do you have another one? Do you see what I mean, Pat? It's more of a step change than it was like a cataclysmic jump. And what's a big deal is the people that like OpenAI and are supporting OpenAI and talking about GPT, they need it, all those proponents, they need it to be big because that's the jersey they're wearing.
Pump. So I'm going to use two direct examples. I saw a guy, Todd Saunders, and he tweeted the following. He said, this is unbelievable. I was on a customer call today, and I had Claude transcribing in the background. As the customer was telling me about the features they wish their current software had, Claude was building the features in real time. By the end of the call, I was able to show a fully working product with the exact workflow they mentioned 15 minutes earlier. Autonomous.
I would love that. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I request something in the product, and I don't see it for years.
Looped building triggered from a customer call.
This tweet right here?
This one right here.
Show the video, Rob.
So just think about how crazy this is, what this guy's saying. He's saying he's on a call with the customer. While he's on the call with the customer, the system is listening to what the customer is saying the pain point is, and it is building a solution in real time. Before the call is over, now Todd says, hey, I got your solution for you. What do you think? You're telling me this stuff's not valuable? I mean, this is crazy, right?
So this is Anthropic.
This is an Anthropic model. Now, could other models do some version of this? Sure. But I think that what a lot of folks already are talking about is Fable. Now, the second example I'm going to use is Sylvia. So for those that don't know, Sylvia is an AI CFO that we've built. We've got thousands of multimillionaires that are on this thing. And what we see using this product is when we upgrade the model, people start asking more questions. Now, what I think is most interesting about this is when you come in here, you are attaching your bank account, your brokerage, your crypto account, your credit cards, real estate, cars, collectibles, etc. And then you are talking to a model with the context of your personal portfolio. So if you go
I still do not trust this anywhere near enough to be connecting bank accounts. It's still, it is crazy good, but I just see so many different hallucinations to the point where I am just not willing to go through with that.
to Fable or you go to ChatGPT and you say, hey, listen, help me get my tax rate down, it doesn't know anything about your finances. But when you combine the power of these AI models with the persistent context of your portfolio, it becomes really powerful. So we've actually seen people go from asking 6 questions a week to now more than 15 questions per week. Why is that interesting? Who asks their financial advisor, their accountant, their lawyer, et cetera, 15 questions a year? These people are asking 15 questions a week. Now, the reason why I find that very interesting is guess what happens? If people are doubling the number of questions they're asking on Sylvia, we are using both proprietary technology, plus we are using some of the models. Every time someone asks a question, it costs money. Why is Anthropic's revenue exploding? Because people are on Sylvia asking 2 times more questions. And no matter how much we work to get the cost and the efficiency of token consumption, et cetera, down, people want intelligence. And so what I go back to is whether it's Todd, whether it's Sylvia, what is the thing that people have run around the world for years now trying to do? They're trying to find the smartest people to come work for their business, the smartest people to help them with their finances, the smartest people to help them with their health, with whatever the thing is that they've got going on. They want intelligence. We now have synthetic intelligence that is more powerful than anyone else. And I saw somebody recently.
It is a really interesting trend from my perspective to see a lot of the companies picked up using on AI very heavily. And then they started to see how much the tokens would actually cost from that perspective. And all of a sudden they really kind of retreated back from it. So I think from my perspective, I really want to see over the longer term, what does that actually look like? Is that something where companies continue to go down that path? Or, you know, they basically say like, hey, like we got to have a more sustainable strategy after that.
Show the model, Fable 5, gets paid more than most people in America. So think about that, right? The average hourly wage in America, I don't know, what do you think, $15 an hour, right? Maybe lower, right? You're paying $40-ish per hour to Fable 5 when you use it.
Yes, but it's still far more efficient than most workers are. The other thing too is like most people are not actually working the full 40 hours a week, right? When they're working, they might be at work, but they're not actually doing tasks nonstop. So I don't think that that's necessarily a fair comparison there.
So the model now makes more money than the human does on a per hour
You're
basis.
paying Fable 5 $40 an hour to use it. Instead of the
An
50.
equivalent
So you're
cost
paying
of tokens.
Totally get it. So it's 80 grand a year salary.
So think about that, right? If I'm sitting there and I can get superhuman intelligence, but I only have to pay $80,000 a year if it was running it with the normal token consumption, what business isn't like, I can get the smartest person in the world to come work in my business and I only got to pay $80,000 a year?
This is the exact argument that is being made in every boardroom today. And even at the company that I work with at, like, I don't think that they're as up to date on AI as I'd like them to be, but they've definitely had a conversation basically about what they're talking about right here.
Compared to white collar work that they're used to paying $150,000, $200,000 to these people. So this is where all of a sudden you start to get this very unique kind of dynamic in a business where people are saying, okay, well, if it works in my business, now go back to the finance thing. Financial advisor, an accountant, tax, in my health, my doctor, my physical fitness coach, whatever. I have somebody who is smarter now that I can simply pay. Of course, these companies are going to get tons of adoption and they're going to get tons of revenue because they're selling the thing that everyone in the world wants, which is intelligence.
Yeah.
Bingo.
So there's a lot of disruption coming to a lot of different industries. Of course, financial services is going to be very interesting because how many times can an advisor get back to 200 clients at the speed that the client wants them to get back? Can they do it faster than an A?
What's funny about financial advisors specifically is like most of what financial advisors do, you can do on your own and you can do it better, right? I'm interested to hear what they actually have to say about this because personal finance, for the most part, is not as complicated as they make it out to be, and they just make all the money off of fees. So this is what I kind of hate about the whole business model when it comes to financial advisors is it's not actually that helpful for the average consumer. So I'm interested to hear.
Yeah, I would. No, you can't compete at that pace.
And they're getting those calls in the middle of a market moment.
Yes.
Those calls are coming concurrent. Everyone reacting to the same thing.
But I'll
oil
tell you-
went way down.
And this is where the human element comes in, right? When you just go and you ask Claude, hey, what should I do here? It's going to tell you something. I don't think people have as much faith as they should in a lot of cases in AI, as much as they have a human across a desk from them actually telling them, hey, this is the right thing to do or this is the wrong thing to do in this particular situation.
Prompt me to comment. What do I do? Your phone's lighting up. You can't answer them all at once.
Here's the thing that I've come to the conclusion of. So we've been building this Sylvia thing now for over a year, right? Got thousands of multimillionaires on here. The number one conclusion that I have, when you have a child and you want them to learn, what does everyone tell you to do? The single best way for a child to learn is to have one-on-one tutoring. We've known this for centuries now. It is very hard to do. It's very expensive. And so what do we do inside of our public school system? We try to get the teacher to student ratio as low as possible. We want the smallest number of students per teacher, and that's going to get the best outcome.
Sure.
Okay.
On a side note, I can see what they're saying from that perspective when it comes to education. I don't think that's going to be a good thing in the long term, right? I think what we're going to see a lot in the education space is, on one hand, it is going to get more and more customized, but the biggest problem in the world right now is people are just getting extra isolated. And I think that what this is going to do is actually make things worse. In a lot of cases, like school isn't necessarily all about learning, right? And I think people like to break it down to that. In a lot of cases, it's all the other things that you learn along the way, right? Like the math skills that I learned in high school, like I use them a little bit, but they're not something that I'm using day to day. Learning how to build relationships and work with other people has been far more valuable in my career and life than kind of those other aspects. So interesting argument that he's making. It's not wrong, but it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say.
Private tutoring works. That's why people do it for certain things. In healthcare, what would be the number one way to stay healthy? You would have one-on-one with a doctor, and you get these kind of private healthcare.
And concierge healthcare is blowing up over the last 10 years with the wealthy.
So what happens in finance? Well, if you go to a financial advisor, most of them are doing the best job that they can, but they have 110 clients. And so when you're calling and you're saying, what do I do? They got a model portfolio that came down from the home office, right? That maybe they go and they look in your portfolio, but they don't have time to go and
Yeah. When I see financial advisors today, they basically have just like cookie cutter portfolios for 95% of people. So I don't know how accurate what he's saying actually is. And for the most part, you can just do most of that stuff on your own much better than a financial advisor can, just because of the way that their business model is set up.
Customize every single thing for every single client. When you use AI, now you get personalized insights to every single question that you have based on your personal portfolio, the current events, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so what we see is that people who regularly use Sylvia, they have grown on average their net worth between 16 and 40% over the last 6 months. So they're outperforming the market. And people are like, oh, that's amazing. Well,
that's really misleading, right? 16, 40%, like how are they actually doing that, right? Because that could be going through and making risky bets, and the market has just gone up the past couple months, so that's a little bit misleading depending on how they're actually doing that.
it makes sense because these people are naturally, they're inclined, they're measuring their wealth, they're paying attention, they're asking questions, they're involved, but also they have personalized one-on-one answers.
With somebody,
of
which
course.
is powerful. Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to cause a lot of people to be displaced, but also cause an economic boom. I mean, the hockey stick growth that it could cause. I mean, the paper Anthropic put out the other day with.
He's right about that. But anytime that you see technology introduced into a market, what you see is the elimination of the middle class, right? People keep talking about this K-shaped economy for all this stuff. I think this is going to make it worse, right? There's going to be a few people on the top that are going to do extremely, extremely well because of AI. But for the average person, I really think that this is going to decimate them.
When AI writes itself, it says that 80% of Claude's code has been written by AI this past year, up from 20% last year. So, like, you know, the exponential compound effect of that, I mean, it's starting to be like things that we can't even imagine are being created. Like, you know, in 2022, we couldn't imagine.
And that's the reason why, right? That compounding effect, the people at the top just keep using the leverage over and over again, whereas the people in the middle and kind of the bottom tiers, it's not going to be something that you can just go and work a normal job anymore, right? There's going to be a couple people that figure it out and they just take off because of it.
Imagine what ChatGPT could do, and then that comes out, blows our mind. Then, you know, we just show with the diagnostic for the customer on the call being diagnosed right away. So we couldn't have imagined that, you know, a couple months ago. So what's it going to look like in a year or two from now? Like, what could be replaced? Like, what's susceptible to being replaced and being done at a higher level than humans? So it's going to be a weird thing where it's radical economic growth, but also radical job displacement. So that's probably why people at the highest levels are talking about this, universal basic income or giving AI equity to the citizens, because it could be like a giant.
I think that that's going to be the only choice, right? Because of all the things I just said here, is like, most people are not going to be able to adapt. Some people are going to adapt really, really well. And that might be Americans. That might be the Chinese, right? I don't know who it's going to be. But what I hear him saying is correct. And I think you're going to see this massive push for UBI. And even as someone who generally is not on that side of things, like, I think that might be the answer in this case.
Wealth gap separation type of event.
Yeah, the gap's going to get wider and wider in ways we've never seen before. 38% of you guys are business owners. If you're a business owner, this is by far the worst season to go through it by yourself. So Vault Conference, if you haven't yet registered, Rob, you may want to play this clip. Every one of us is one relationship away from taking our lives and our business to the next level. I want you to hear the story about what a friend of Elon Musk ended up doing just because of becoming friends with him. Go ahead, Rob. Have you heard about Elon Musk's friend named Antonio Gracias, who allegedly they met in the mid-90s networking, they became friends, and he lent Elon $1 million, which somehow, some way ends up owning 7.3% of SpaceX. That $1 million today, according to Entrepreneur Magazine, could be worth between $100 billion to $150 billion, making him top 50 richest men in the world. So how did this happen? Every one of us, if you're watching this, you are one contact, one relationship away from changing your business, changing your life. How do you do it? You got to put yourself out there. If you're not, the way I did it is by going to 4 to 10 business conferences every year. Once a year, we host an event called the Vault Conference. This year, we're doing it at the MGM Grand Arena, August 31st to September 3rd. 12,000 people will be attending this event. If you haven't yet registered, your Antonio may be at that event. Click on the link above or below, get registered. We'll see you there. Again, bring your business partners. A lot of people are bringing their employees. Every year, they're bringing somebody new. If anybody that comes in, they typically bring back 5, 10, 15 people the next year with them. I think one of the companies from France, if I'm not mistaken, is bringing 500 people to the event, to the Vol conference. But Logan Paul will be there to talk about how to create content and get noisy at a time like this. He's always in the marketplace talking about it. I know he's got a torn triceps, but even that makes it in the news. Stephen Bartlett, fastest growing podcast in the world from Value Review CEO. He'll be there. Jerry Rice and Joe Montana will be sitting down with me to talk about how to find running mates. And last but not least, Dan Martell, the great Dan Martell, will talk about how to use AI, multiple 8-figure exits. Author of Buy Back Your Time. They will be at the conference as well. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.